Right, so last night there was a massive right to strike demonstration outside of Westminster as the Tories' nauseating minimum service levels bill, which will strip workers effectively of their right to strike under the excuse that a minimum service level must be preserved and any effort to go on strike could result in them being sacked, defeating the idea of a strike entirely in that it is meant to cause disruption. Strike action is a last resort when negotiations fail, and this government has no interest in negotiating issues of work with anyone from rail workers, teachers, nurses, doctors, bus drivers, postal workers, and so many more right now. The government claim not only must disruption be minimised to other people, but that a safe level of service must be preserved too. All the more nauseating when aspects of safety are chief amongst those reasons many of these services are on strike to begin with, not least in particular to those working in the rail industries and our health service. The thing is, the strike action is still supported by the majority of the public who get it, mainly being of the working class themselves. They accept the disruption because they believe in people getting a fair deal. We all do, don't we? But listen to them, not this government, as this regressive assault on a fundamental human right, which can only ever herald more regression of workers' rights, passed its second reading in Parliament. Speeches there were, of course, from the likes of decent MPs, the few that we might have, such as Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana. But the speech to top them all came from the RMT's now legendary boss, Mick Lynch, getting ready to body a good deal of people who really got the crowd going and doled out a few home truths for those politicians who ought to have been there with them and yet weren't. Lynch said, "There are some people missing here tonight. You get this every time you hear me. We've got Jeremy, he's with us. We've got other MPs. We've got SNP MPs. Caroline Lucas of the Green Party sends her solidarity. But there's a big question. Where's the Labour front bench tonight?" Cue howls of booing from the assembled masses. Thousands of working class people booing the party of ordinary workers. It ought to terrify Labour. But the true Labour MPs, of course, wouldn't be taking up Starmer's front bench anyway. And several, of course, were there. Lynch continued, "Where are the Labour front bench tonight? When are they going to stand up with the rest of the Labour movement and join with us and say, we are with you. We are going to defeat this law. We're going to defeat this government. We're going to drive them out of power. We're going to support you in your disputes. And we're going to guarantee you win those disputes. And when we win that election, we're going to repeal all these anti-trade union laws. And we're going to build a new Bill of Workers' Rights right across the economy and right across our society, because that's what we demand from people who seek to represent us. If you seek to represent the working class, well, you'd better show some empathy for working people now in these struggles on their housing estates, in our cities, in our villages, in our counties. Working people are turning out for change. Everywhere I go, people are saying, let's change the economy. Let's change society. And I say to Keir Starmer, come and stand with us. Don't triangulate. Don't try and be a vanilla politician in a manila suit. Stand up for socialism. Stand up for workers. And let's change this country going forward. You've all heard the problems. You all know about our dispute. At the center of these disputes is one issue. It's the distribution of wealth in our society. And what we're calling for from any politician is to guarantee that you support redistribution, that you support social justice, that you support working people in their struggles today and in the future. And we need to make sure that we rebalance this society, that we rebalance the economy, that we rebalance justice. People are crying out for it, and we've got to make sure we change it. So the message tonight is, let's go into all of our communities. Let's go to every place where workers are waiting for change. Let's bring the trade union movement to those people. We will not be waiting for professional politicians. We will not be waiting for policy makers. The future now is in our hands. The future is in the working class, and the working class is back now. And we're going to fight for our rights and fight for our future. And nobody is going to stop us. We have got problems. We have got all these people, all these liars, even in The Guardian, the so-called liberal papers. They will be telling us that your demands are unreasonable, that you've got to temper what you ask for. If you wait for a government, it will happen. And they hate us. They hate working people. But if we are together, if we are united, if we build our movement for ourselves, we will be unstoppable in this country. And we're going to change this country forever and change in our favor and redistribute that wealth, not from the bottom to the top, top, but from the top to the rest of the people living in this society. So let's fight, let's commit ourselves, make sure everyone in your workplace is in a union, make sure every workplace is organised, and make sure that your union becomes a fighting union on behalf of the people of this country so that we can change it. It's a cold evening. You've got to go home to your own families. Thanks for travelling out. Thanks for your commitment. Let's not let this dissipate. Let's fight, and fight again for our future. See you on the picket line and see you on the streets. There's no topping that, really. It's classic Mick Lynch. A solid swipe at vanilla Keir Starmer in his manila suit and the entirety of the Labour front bench, for whom appearing on a picket line is a sacking offence these days. So much for solidarity with the workers. The Labour Party is just one part of the Labour movement, though, as Lynch said, and under Starmer it has abandoned its place there, and abandoned its place alongside the working classes, instead choosing the path of Blair once more, the path of wealthy donors and Tory lightism and kissing up to the billionaire pressed barons. Sure, they voted against that Tory bill last night, but are they prepared to get out on the streets to oppose it with the rest of us if it should succeed in becoming law? I hardly think so. Not when right-wingers of their NEC refer to those voicing their displeasure as virtue signallers preaching to the converted, or when their parliamentary leadership can't even post a single tweet in solidarity with those who were demonstrating, let alone show up. They won't change, and therefore nothing for ordinary people will anytime soon, regardless of who wins that next general election. So as Lynch said, we've got to do this ourselves. The real Labour movement, the parts that haven't forgotten what they're supposed to stand for, where they come from. And it's not just a left-wing thing either, because trade unionists span the entire political spectrum. Join a union, get unionised in the workplace, be part of that movement, that collective, that solidarity across the country, because we are many, they are few, and together we can and will win. Support the strike action. It's never taken lightly. That so many are balloting for it and voting for it, knowing it'll cost them money themselves, should tell you this country is in a dire way right now. And if we don't stand together, things can and will worsen. They want to burn out our rail workers and our NHS workers. They're telling schools right now to find volunteers and put teaching assistants in charge of classes to get around the trained teachers taking strike action, which they've just balloted for. They're turning our now privatised Royal Mail into another gig economy courier service. It has to be opposed because all we will get is a worse, more expensive service all around, and all for want of standing in solidarity with our fellow working class people here and now. The Tory party is a relic of the Victorian era. Don't let them drag us back there to those conditions, because it's absolutely what they want and what they will do if given the chance.